Hey, this is JA, or you can call me James. Happy Friday to you guys. This is Memorial Day weekend. For those of us in the US, that means I have 3 days off, and I am really looking forward to that. Make sure you let me know if you guys have anything special planned in the comments section. Hopefully, you don't have to work and you can kind of just chill out and relax. But let me get into this. In this video, I wanted to pose a question to you, but I want to be really careful because it's kind of weird the way I'm going to word it. But let me just put it out there. And my question is, has the American church become a prostitute? All right, so like I said, that's probably a little bit weird to you, but let me explain what I'm thinking and where this is coming from. I was actually reading an article by a Dr. David Reiser, and he was talking about this time that he was teaching some students, some ministry students, and he read a quote by Reverend Sam Pasco that was kind of talking about the history of Christianity. Let me read that quote for you. It says, Christianity started in Palestine as a fellowship. That was the very first church, you know, think about Acts. It moved to Greece and became a philosophy. It moved to Italy and became an institution. It moved to Europe and became a culture. And it came to America and became an enterprise. And if you don't know what an enterprise is, basically an enterprise is a business. Well, one of his students raised her hand and she said, you know, basically, isn't the church supposed to be a body? And he, of course, responded by saying yes. And so she went on and say, well, when a body becomes a business, isn't that a prostitute? And this question actually kind of shook him and really challenged him. And he spent the rest of the article kind of talking about that. So my question to you is, has the American church become a prostitute, or is it a prostitute? If you've spent any time in a church, I think that you'll see that there are a lot of people who go to church, but these people don't love God. I mean, how can we truly love God when we don't even know Him? And I mean, really know Him. And I want you to think about that word, because the word know has a very different meaning in Western culture and Eastern culture. And the Bible was written from an Eastern culture, so we have to keep that in mind. In the West, you know or knowing or knowledge is all about collecting information. If we collect a bunch of information, then we're knowledgeable on a subject. But in Eastern culture, knowledge is all about experience and what they've experienced. In the article, Dr. Reiser gives a great example for this, and he gives two statements. He says, wheat doesn't grow in cold climates. And the second statement is, England has a cold climate. So if we were to ask the question, does wheat grow in England? From a Western point of view, we would say, you know, A plus B equals C. No, wheat does not grow in England. From an Eastern point of view, or an Eastern culture, they would answer by saying, I don't know, I've never been to England. So you see the difference right there. And by the way, if you ask somebody in Britain or in England if wheat grows there, they're going to say, yes, it does grow there, because they actually live there and they witnessed that. But that's the difference. Experience trumps information when it comes to knowledge. That's why when somebody asks me if I believe in God, you know, I'm like, yeah, I believe in God because I've experienced Him. He's changed my life. I know Him. In the church, a lot of people don't know God because they haven't experienced Him. They have a lot of collected information about God, but they don't truly know Him. And I think we see something similar with the word belief. I was watching Soldier's video and he was talking about what that word really means. In Western culture, it's all about accepting something as being true. If we believe something, we accept it as the truth, but it doesn't require experience and it doesn't require a change in how we live. In Eastern culture, though, it's different. Belief encompasses experience and action. Soldier said in his video, you know, what we do is a direct reflection of what we believe, and that's so true. When we truly believe in Jesus Christ, it's going to change us. We're going to look different. That's why there are so many Christians in America that say they're Christians, but when you look at them, you don't see anything that resembles Jesus Christ. When you truly believe in Jesus Christ, when you truly know Him, He's going to change you and you're going to start to resemble Him. All right, so where does this whole church as a prostitute thing come from? Well, think about this, all right? The church is called to be the bride of Christ, and the church is basically the body of believers. So we are called to be collectively the bride of Christ. If we don't know Him, then we truly can't love Him. And if we're called to be married to him and it's not based on love, what is it based on? Well, that's where the prostitution thing comes from. Think about this. A lot of Christians come because they're told about these things that Jesus Christ is going to do for them. You know, we promise them that if they come to know Christ, he's going to bless them in their life. They're just going to have this awesome life. And then after they die, they're just going to be taken to heaven. And there's some truth in there, but there's also some misrepresentation. You know, Jesus said, hey, if you want to follow me, you better count the cost, because the world's going to hate you. It's not going to be all roses. It's not going to be all you're just in this bubble and you're insulated from everything else like that. You're still going to have all this stuff in your life. So people come to Christ often with the wrong motives and the wrong expectations. In fact, Dr. Reiser says basically people marry God for his money or for his blessings or for things, and they really don't care about him as long as they get these things. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking, man, you are taking this way too far. You are way off base. Remember, I'm not trying to stereotype everybody. I'm talking about the majority of people, though, and why they come to Christ. Things change, you know, after they come to Christ, but initially, this is what happens. And if you don't believe me, think about this. You know, why do people leave the church? Oftentimes, it's because they don't think that God is blessing them. You know, maybe they're going to church, they're doing all the things that they think they should be doing, but then they lose their job, and all of a sudden, God isn't real because God is not taking care of them. That's how they perceive it. Or maybe I should say that's how we perceive it, because I really think that we've turned the kingdom of God into a business. You know, it's just there. It's kind of like that whole prostitution thing. We're called to love God, all right? But why do we love God? You know, a prostitute pretends to love as long as the money's flowing. You know, what would happen if God quit paying us? And I know he doesn't pay us, but sometimes, like I said, that's how we perceive it. What would happen if all the blessings were taken away? That's something that I've been wrestling with. What would I do? How would I respond? Hopefully, you know, my response would come from knowing him and truly knowing him and truly loving him. And I'd say, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to follow you and I'm going to love you. But that's where I'm going to leave things. Let me know what you guys think about this. I hope you really take this to heart and really give it a chance to sink in, because I'm trying to think of, you know, are there conditions on my love for God? You know, am I being a prostitute or am I truly loving him? And I hope you guys think about that as well. But let me know what you guys think. As always, though, take care and God bless.